from a personal note, I think that our push for the last 20 years of push for post-secondary for many of the potential candidates has given us a workforce now that doesn't want entry level or expects more than entry level. From a warehousing perspective, I think the higher pressure, the higher velocity warehousing, I don't know that that's still an interest for them. And 40 to 60 hour work weeks, we're finding for sure is out. Those are the huge changes we've seen.
So from a learning and educational perspective, one of the things that I've definitely seen, and definitely we've heard from our members over the last few years, is the explosion of supply chain type courses and training that are now available through universities and colleges. I think supply chain used to be an industry that people sort of stumbled on by accident, and now there is targeted recruitment and an explosion of these types of courses. And so as a learning organization ourselves, our challenge is to make sure we're working with those colleges and universities, because they're definitely teaching the theoretical and the table stakes skills that people need, but they don't necessarily have the practical requirements. So trying to blend and making sure that the graduates are coming out to the industry have the appropriate combination of both theoretical as well as practical skills that the industry requires.
Well, I think e-commerce, as we all watch that just burst onto the scene and continue to grow at a rapid pace, it's having a massive impact on the driver shortage. So not just tractor trailer, but right down to the final mile in a small car or van, and there's tremendous pressure to find enough drivers to compensate them appropriately, and delivering a book or whatever it is that someone orders individually to every single home puts a lot of traffic on the road and puts a lot of drivers in a lot of cars. So it's going to have to be addressed, obviously, with compensation, because there's just a huge driver shortage.
I want to concur with what Pina said, is that I think one of the challenges is that with the introduction of digital technologies, we know what the business skills are. So as we have more and more academic institutions picking up supply chain management programs, they're teaching the theoretical, but as digital technologies become more and more prevalent in our workplaces, I'm not sure that they can keep pace. There's a huge infrastructure around how quickly curriculum at post-secondary education changes. And for us, as we have dialogue with post-secondary education, that's one of their biggest challenges, is trying to stay on top of the introduction of technology. So I agree that it has to be a partnership between education and employers, so that there's more opportunities to engage students perhaps earlier in internships or work placements or those kinds of opportunities, so that they get the balance of skills and get introduced to the new technology. Because when graduates come out, if they don't have that technology, that goes back to the first point that I made, that employers are saying, I can hire someone that's got management skills and they don't have technology. Or I can hire someone who's come out of a technology program who understands the data analytics that I require, and they don't have the management skills. So I think it's that blended learning that we're going to need to look at.
Yeah, I think, the world in general is evolving at an incredibly rapid rate, and that means the way us as organizations and the way employees come to work needs to evolve as well. So you think about how unemployment is relatively low, but reality is there's a big group of unemployment that isn't measured, and it's people who are trapped. They don't have the skills for today's economy. And so there's a big portion of people out there that really are looking for a role but can't find a role because the requirement in the role has changed. So I think what we're seeing is We're looking for a different type of employee today, whether it be a driver, a warehouse employee, whether it be a manager. It's a different set of skills. It's a different set of capabilities. Totally agree with what Ross says. People get trapped into, I can only hire people with a specific expertise or industry expertise. Reality is this new world is going to force us to think about that employment market differently and be able to look at transferable skills, and then how do we as employers or through educational bodies teach the technical skills that are required. What I'm really excited about is it finally seems that a lot of post-secondary education organizations are stepping up to provide more education in supply chain. And supply chain is so critical, and it's been an area that we've had great organizations like the CITT involved in. But there's got to be a bigger post-secondary offering out there to really train that next wave of future employees.